It's with the money.
My speed, 2.5 years. Up at 6:30.
Good evening, all. It is 6:30, so we will start this Parks Advisory Board meeting. First thing is gonna be roll call.
Ms. Colazzo? Mr. Colazzo, sorry. Absent. Mr. Lykoff,
Here.
Ms. Rosenbaum,
Here.
Ms. Pelican,
Here.
Ms. Moore,
Here.
Ms. Tarko, Mr. Eckstein.
Here.
Ms. Oldesby,
Here.
Ms. Coatsy,
Yeah.
Ms. McGill. Here. Normie Bell,
He's got strict.
absent, and Chair Gunter. We have a quorum.
Next up is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody get the copy of the minutes that were emailed out.
Yeah.
Got a chance to review them.
Yes.
And I move to approve them.
I move that we change, there's an editing typo here.
We have to have a second. so we can make-
Okay,
I second.
There we go. Now, any discussion?
yes, on page 1, the third paragraph. Somebody asked,
Bring them.
Chair Williams asked if Clark was moving forward, and Mr. Williams replied, you can ask yourself the question, and the chair would have been Chair Gunter. The third sentence down. Unless it's the next one.
Oh.
Page 2. You said page 1.
Page 1.
Well,
Are you saying page 1 or?
it's not this page, but the next page.
Item.
Right. I'm sorry, yeah,
Yes.
page 2,
Oh, Chair.
Chair Williams, that's the only, it's a typo.
Got it. Good catch, good catch.
Should say Chair Gunter, that's the only thing I noticed.
Okay. Sense. Any other errors, omissions, edits, comments, or concerns? None heard, can we take a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard? Good. Item 1 of the agenda is,
Yes, so, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Before I actually get into the actual, item number 1, I want to, make you all aware that, Ms. Suarez here, is our new senior administrative assistant. She has replaced that.
Welcome. Nice to meet you.
What's your first name?
Leanna.
Leanna, nice to meet
Nice to
you.
meet you too.
So are you, she's at Southside too on the second
Yes.
floor? Okay. Good.
So we're not gonna see you anymore?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes, yes. Okay, so item number 1, came to me from, Commissioner Herbst. In our discussion, he was interested in amending our park rules where it says no dog are allowed in our parks except for designated areas. But the idea behind this would be to allow dogs in all parks with a 6-foot leash. As you'll notice now in our park system, dogs are all over the place. We don't have enough park rangers as is to really enforce that. However, there is an investment that we will have to make over time as far as bags, and signage, and updating our existing signage that we have. But this was broached to commission at a conference meeting, and the next step is to bring it to the board to get your feedback and recommendation. And then once I have that, then I will go back to our commission for final approval or disapproval of this new philosophy.
So I'm all in favor of having dogs in parks with a 6-foot leash. We're a dog-friendly city. There's no reason for us not to be able to bring our pets to a park and it's so long as, we have signage and we have repositories where we can, they can't, we have to have a place to dispose.
Sorry.
I agree, we don't want to look like Paris. Copy
Pardon?
Paris, everywhere you step in, there's dog poop.
Yeah, to be honest,
The
like.
bags
I
are
would
essential.
accept in dog poop on the tennis courts at Beacon Park, not
Really?
exciting or interesting,
See,
so.
that's just rude behavior.
Yeah,
Well,
like
that's-
if we can make it where it says like you're on the grass and not on the baseball fields and not on, certain things like that, if there's parameters, then that's fine.
It's,
I agree, there should probably be some restrictions to areas that are limited from them, more so, but in general, to have them in the parks makes sense. I've seen them in the parks all the time, one of the best chairs. I saw that baby for years while he was chair of this board with his dogs,
I mean,
on leash.
even with Starlight Musicals, people bring their animals.
Well, that's Holiday Park, they're technically allowed in Holiday Park on a 6-foot leash on their way to and from the dog park.
Right.
But theoretically, how long does it take to go to and from all night? But, but even Bernard County parks are 6-foot leash, so I don't think that there's a lot of municipalities anymore fully restricting. I don't know if you guys have done any.
Yeah, so as part of, when this was originally mentioned to me, I did do some research and I shared it with Commissioner, but, ideally it's.
Commissioners behind you.
it's here, it's here.
He did.
And so ideally, that's the impetus of this.
Right.
And Carl, are we gonna definitely, at all these parks, gonna have poop stations at these parks?
So we're gonna have to put those stations there. Right now, like our signage says, of course, no dogs allowed, but we have to redo that and then add the dog stations to that.
So it's gonna
We would
be
do
every
that over-
park.
But we could also provide, we should probably provide bags as
Yes.
well,
We do that now in our dog parks.
Right.
But we have to extend that throughout our city.
right?
And do you have the funding for such a event?
And that's what I was going with.
So ideally, we would do it over time. Like to do it all at once, would probably be a bit much, but we can do it over time.
I mean, we're not gonna stop people from bringing their dogs to the park.
Yeah, we haven't been able to stop it anyway. They bring them anyway, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying, we don't have the personnel to control it, so
Correct.
we may as well make it safe for everybody and make sure that everybody has access to repositories so they can dispose of.
Actually, I've had the park rangers
Yeah.
approach me with my chicken park.
Can I,
Yes.
so same experience as Commissioner has, but when I have a dog and I'm dog sitting, I still walk it in George English Park, try to be smart about it, but I have kids that live all over the country, New York, Chicago, LA. I've been to all their parks. They have millions of parks. Everybody's walking their dogs and the dogs poop. The majority of people, almost if not everybody, has those poop bag things on their leash as I do myself. And they pick it up. So I don't know about having, New York City, people are, you go by any trash can, it's got a lot of dog poop bags. I mean, people know to pick up their dog poop. They usually have their own stuff. I think if you start supplying bags, you're gonna have other people, that are in the park that you live there during the day using the bags for other things. I just think that's a maintenance headache. I think people really should have their own stuff for their dog. Matter of fact, I had somebody come up to me more than once, say, listen, my thing is empty. I didn't know it. Can I have a poop bag? Well, people share these things.
Right, no,
So,
they should, they don't, Miss Mary.
But they don't,
I
yeah.
have one right into my yard,
Yeah.
in my corner of my yard that I service, and they don't use, some of them use it, some
well,
of them. don't.
okay, well, that's your yard. I'm talking about a park. And if
I'm just
people are in a
saying,
park and
so
they
I'm
see a
saying
dog,
it's there though for them to use, so they still let their dog poop and don't pick it up.
well, you can't police everybody.
You can't, but you, at least when you have it there, available, they're using.
Well,
Yeah, I think you can
okay.
have it available. Or something.
You want to have it available, but I can guarantee you they're going to be emptied pretty quick by people that don't have dogs.
Just curious,
think
if the commission has any majority or, primary concern with it.
Thank you, I appreciate this. So, yeah, this came to my attention. So I used to live next to Holiday Park for many years and walk my dog around there. And I was involved actually, along with a number of our engineers, when we had a project management program up at FAU. And our project that we worked on during that 16 weeks was the design of the dog park in Holiday Park. So I was pleased to participate in the design and construction of that. But it was interesting when I first found out that we had all these signs up that said you can't bring dogs into the park. And so I talked to Phil Thornburg and I expressed some concerns about that. And he said, well, we're worried about dogs biting people in the park. And I said, to your point, I grew up in New York City, 8 million people, dogs in every single park. So I did a little, research, in every major city, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, doesn't make a difference. All allow dogs in the park. Broward County allows dogs in their parks. There's a handful of smaller cities that don't, and then we didn't. And I was just very surprised about that, particularly because we are a very dog-friendly city. And so I've long pushed to get this changed, and I wasn't in a position as the auditor to influence the outcome, but now I get a vote. And so, so I wanted to bring it back up again, and I introduced the idea. I think it makes a lot of sense. I even joked half-heartedly. I said, okay, so once we put the dog park in the holiday park, how am I supposed to get my dog into the dog run? Without walking him through the park to get there. So, but to your point too, again, like I said, I did have one of the park rangers approach me and told me that I had to leave immediately. We had a discussion about that because he said it's against the law, and I said, no, it's against park policy, which is not quite the same thing. But, the larger issue, and this goes with a lot of our other ordinances that we have, if people believe that they can ignore the law, it breeds contempt for the law. So I think it's important that we have ordinance in places that reflect people's behavior, that their behavior is consistent with the law as well. So I think it works on many levels. I think it encourages people to get out. We're trying to get people out and actively exercise and utilize our park space. And one of our most active users is our dog owners. So I think it facilitates an activity that I think we want to encourage. They tell folks like myself, the elderly, that getting out with a dog is really good for your health and your well-being, your mental state. So there's just so many benefits to it, I think. And I don't really think there's a lot of drawbacks. Is a problem, but to your point, Mary, I think people have become acclimated in most part to being responsible dog owners. Not everybody, but that's true with almost everything in life. Not everybody is responsible with driving and talking on their cell phones and wearing their seatbelts and everything else. But I think the majority of people want to do the right thing. They're responsible owners, and I think this is just time that we move forward. So thank you. I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. I like that. Thank you, Commissioner. Just kind of reinforcing the message that I heard from Chair and someone else to put in parameters for where the dogs cannot be. I would suggest, I don't know, measurement, somebody else can figure it out, like say 3 feet away from playgrounds too, because there are some children who are still learning to love dogs, might be nervous about dogs, might have had a run-in. So in terms of avoiding tennis courts, pickleball courts, I would say putting in some general guidance about being around a playground.
Sure. I agree with that. I think, obviously even on our sports field, we say no golfing allowed, no certain things along. There's no reason why we couldn't put signage up in the areas we don't want people bringing their pets.
Soccer field.
But generally speaking, to have them on the general sidewalks within the park and roaming through, I think is a very good practice and kind of complements the general behavior of the general.
Should we drop some language for that and then back? I mean, I'm all in favor of it. I think we just need to refine the language in terms of stay away from the soccer fields, the football fields, the playgrounds where children are playing, and
Yes.
I think we can move to do this, but we need to be able to.
Well,
Right.
Samuel Joseph, Assistant City Attorney, we're looking for directive from you as to what limitations you're interested in, what kind of recommendations you want us to prepare, so that Carl can come back with the verbiage. We'll prepare it together,
Right, well,
bring it to you for review, approval and a vote so that we can present it to the city commission.
Then I move that we go ahead and approve allowing dogs in our.
Sorry, I didn't want to stop you, but we've got one
Oh,
board member
sorry.
that's been waiting to also speak.
I just wanted to ask, would this include the linear? We have a lot of linear parks. So if you were gonna put doggy bags in different places, like, in my neighborhood, we have Cliff Lake Park. And we had actually requested years ago, for a dog, the doggy bags there. and we were gonna pay for it. And we were told by the city, dogs are not allowed in that park. And it's like everybody in the neighborhood walks their dog there. Like nobody even knows that it's not, no dogs are allowed. So,
I agree. Yeah. I think the simplest thing is saying that dogs are allowed on a 6-foot leash and some sort of contingency as designated by the Parks Department, or, in spaces designated by the Parks Department. Therefore, it gives them the capacity to determine what should and should not be. And they can make those changes as the department needs without us going, oh my God, we gotta redo our bylaws.
I don't think we need to.
And then you'd have to have a sign, that long and that big.
Well, yeah,
You gotta keep it
so-
simple.
What I wanted to mention is you don't want to be too restrictive when you say athletic fields because, we have Starlight that happens to be one of our athletic fields. So, and we certainly don't want to shoot our commissioner out here and he comes with a 6-foot lease on one of our fields. So my thought would be, we stay away from, the playgrounds, the tennis courts, pickleball courts, and, and kind of leave it at that. Because once we start kind of adding in more, the signs are gonna be
That's
extensive and then you end up not being able to take your dog anywhere.
Right.
Well,
I think we just come up with a general statement like we talked about, with just a few exceptions.
Right.
Yes.
And I move that we go forward with having dogs in parks and that we make sure that we have limitations, that if the dog must be on a 6-foot leash, that the dogs are not allowed, they must be, let's say, 6 feet at a minimum away from the playgrounds. So we don't want to scare children who are still not accustomed to being around dogs. Not soccer fields, pickleball courts, tennis courts,
Hard surface areas. Hard surface
hard
areas.
surface, yeah.
That would maybe eliminate.
Sidewalk.
Which
Yeah.
are uncertain.
Yeah, don't say that.
I don't want to,
Yeah.
but maybe designated play areas.
yeah, playing field.
I mean, if there's not a football game
Yeah.
going on, there's no reason why the dog can, the owner can run around the football, the football field while the dog is getting some exercise, as well as the owner getting some exercise.
What about the artificial turf?
Look at that, look at tree.
No, I'm talking about poop on an artificial turf.
Oh, you can pick it, you need to pick it up in that, I can promise you.
Doesn't go anywhere, doesn't go anywhere once you poop on the artificial turf.
So ideally, it'd be, no playground in designated areas. Kind of just leave it that way
Okay.
because, like I said, if it gets too specific, then we're gonna get into not having dogs anyway.
I think you keep it simple. So let's put a motion up and
I did.
I second it.
Yeah, motion.
Can we just clarify the motion, please? Because I know there were several exceptions. And we just want to make sure that we get proper directives so that Carl and I can work on it.
I move that we agree that we go forward with allowing dogs in our parks. With a few exceptions as in the tennis courts, the
Playground.
pickleball courts, racquetball courts, and the dogs must be on a 6-foot leash.
And playground.
Well, yeah, I said, didn't I say playground?
Yeah, you did.
Oh. So I think the playgrounds need to be at least 6 feet away.
6 feet.
Yeah. I don't know how anybody else feels about that, but
Well, some
They're gonna be
dogs
some-
aren't used to kids, so.
some kids are
Yeah.
used to dogs,
Yeah.
so.
So the reason,
So do we put that in there?
okay, that's why I wanted to clarify the motion, because I know some people wanted to just leave it as designated areas.
I like the designated area myself personally.
But do you want us to itemize those areas in the language? I'm
I guess
just
we
trying to
could
get
just
the
say
consensus.
designated.
I would think
areas.
designated areas and then maybe in different parks, the designated areas could be different because of what's going on at that park.
Correct.
Then you would need a lot of
Designated areas,
different
because that's not-
signages.
Yeah.
I think you should provide clarity in the
Yes.
language, designated areas such as or designated.
Yeah,
areas
examples
as listed.
are,
Well,
And because the city always has an exception to change the space as needed.
okay, so there's a motion on the floor. I don't know if, Mr. Chair, you want, I'm not gonna carry your meeting, but I wanna know, we're trying.
To then have
Well,
discussion, are we having discussion to clarify?
Right.
And then we can maybe refine.
But
the
I don't
motion.
want there to be more than one motion so that we
Right.
can,
Understand.
I'm
So I
trying to make sure.
I can refine the motion and say that dogs must be allowing dogs in parks. That dogs must be on a 6-foot leash and they must stay away from the designated areas.
How to define children's areas and other designated areas.
And
How about children in sports areas? That's kind of.
children's playgrounds for sure.
And other
Sports
designated
And
areas,
other designated, yes, children's playgrounds in other designated areas.
because we all agree on the children.
Okay, so I'm moving to allow dogs in our parks on a 6-foot leash, but with the exception of are not allowed near the playgrounds within a 6-foot range and other designated areas.
How does
We have a
that sound to you?
I'm trying to make sure, is it seconded? Was it seconded?
It was.
I
It was seconded by Charlie.
Okay,
That's something that
we can work with whatever directives you give us. I just want to be sure that we have the proper motion.
Motion, right?
okay, all in favor,
All right,
Aye.
any opposed? None heard?
Just need to come up with a.
Thank you. I appreciate it. As always, again, thank you all for serving it. I think it's a great time consuming process to give up your evenings and be here, and I can tell you I appreciate it. So thanks y'all.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, we're getting ready for 60% design drawing on Lockhart Park. So I look forward to bringing that back.
All right.
Excellent, thank
Very
you.
excited about that. Great night, all.
Good night.
And then you'll come back with some final
Right.
language.
Right, we just needed some general directive as to what you want us to prepare, and then we'll go ahead and just as we prepared the revised proposed rules last time, we'll bring you the language. At that time, you can once again tweak it as needed, and you'll vote on that, and that will be the recommendation that's presented to the commission.
We're over the first
Final.
hurdle right here.
Right, exactly.
We're all in agreement to move forward here
Right,
in some kind of language.
yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2. Sorry? Sure. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a request to adjust the schedule of the agenda because we have presenters here for item number 4, Riverland Woods Fund.
Yeah. So real quick as Mr. Grizzly comes forward, Riverland Woods, this item where has about $135,000 allocated to the bond project. And as such, there's some requests by the neighborhood as an enhancement that's aside from the bond. And we'd like to use some funding from the Commissioner Acquisition Funds and also change the name of Riverland Woods. And so with that, I'll let Mr. Grizzly.
Welcome and thank you once for having us on your agenda here. I'm Rob Grizzly. One of the employee.
Can you speak a little louder?
Excuse me, I'm Earl Grizzly, former city employee, engineering design manager, city of Fort Lauderdale, did all the beach work. I'm currently working in city of Sunrise, building a lot of their parks, their community centers. Here, I'm as a personal resident of Lauderdale Isles. It's Jeff Raines, he's the vice president of Lauderdale Isles Civic Improvement Association. Currently the president of the Civic Association. So I've been a resident for Lauderdale for probably years from New York. And we're here to talk about a community center. And I'll give you a really quick background, but if you look at this first page here, this one right here. This is what our neighborhood looks like. And we are a community of 700 homes, 500 of which are waterfront. And there's a whole history to this neighborhood I won't worry with, but it was all carved out. The land was all carved out to create all of these times. And when the club, it was with this development that it was sold with a part ownership of this yacht club when we bought your property. And that's really how it played out for quite a while. And it's a whole history and Jeff could go into it, but it's very difficult for a private entity to maintain itself, to get membership, to pay the bills. And so what happened over time is that yacht club was sold. It was sold to private entities that went through the chain of title, looking for some kind of covenant that would say that it was supposed to be a yacht club all the way through. There was one, in one title, it said it should be a yacht club for the next year. That expired, and then it just kept changing. And every time it changed hands, we're all like, would this be great if we could grab that property and we could annex it to the boat ramp that's right next door? It was, you know, a marriage made in heaven of this yacht club and the park right next door. You put it all together and you have a boat ramp and a park, and it has tennis courts and a pool, it has little meeting building. That's where we used to vote. So when I first came and I moved to Lauderdale Isles, that was one of the selling points was, hey, they have a community and they have their meetings and they have their, there's an actual yacht club that was meeting there. And they had meetings, they had activities. It was really great to move into a place that actually had a center there that people could walk to and they could go and use it. So over the last couple of administrations and commissioners, we always wanted to purchase it. We worked with the owner, and through Commissioner Sorensen, Lee Feldman, and last city manager, we met with the owner, and they just could never come up to a deal. And in the parks bond, you will see a line item for, I think it was $1.5 million for land acquisition for purchasing that yacht. Right? So that was always in there. Commissioner Sorensen would meet with them, former city manager would meet with them. Everybody tried to meet with this guy to try and call some kind of deal where we could put it together. And so recently it came up for sale, and we went through it. The city put an offer in. I don't want to get involved in the offer, but the offer had some contingencies on it. And there was another gentleman right there with cash, and they went with the cash. All right, so it's gone. We've talked to the guy, and he really has no intentions of opening it up. He has to live with the rules that are there, which is zoned park. The park is yacht. So we'll be watching to see. It's free country, play by the rules, and you get to enjoy what you just purchased. All right. So after that happened, long story short, I looked at what we've kind of lost and what we really need to bring our community back together. And the thought was to go and actually use that money that was earmarked for purchasing that whole community there and create a small community center in the footprints of where, on city property, where the boat launch is. We have, look at this to see, there's a red circle there. I apologize, we should have done it properly.
We have black and white, but.
Yeah, you have black and white.
It's in our emails.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, where you'll see that shaded area is a playground. That is, we've talked to Parks and Recs about this, and Parks and Recs is really focused on the wonderful playground that's across the street. They've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on that. They've got covered canopies over it, and that's where they really focus. They want the kids to be over there. So this playground here is set to kind of kick it along the road, trying to figure out what should happen there. And we as a neighborhood, we feel that this area is really a boat launch, not really a park. It's really something that we use for launching boats. It doesn't have a lot of parking. The vehicles and the boat trailers, they all park on the grass. It becomes inundated on the weekends, but it's fine. Normal peak times, they park in the asphalt, but then it just blows up over the weekend and people just find whatever they can and they park the trailers and they enjoy it. And we really try to provide an area for people that don't live on the water, but do have a trailer and they want to come and still be on the water. We don't have that benefit, but it's still something they can do. So what we'd like to do, you'll see it on there. There is a dotted line that's to the right of that shaded area. That's the forward yacht club. So you can see that was a marriage made in heaven. It should have come together, but it didn't. And I don't think it ever will, to be honest. I think this guy's bought it, he knows what he bought, and he's gonna enjoy it. So again, the parks bond had two components, one that was land acquisition, and then one that was a project that was gonna put in I think it hit some lighting and some enhancements. CDA improvements, yeah, it was just minor touch ups too. And this area has really been kind of neglected, I would say. Parks and Rec did a great job, we call them up, take the lights out, they come right out, they fix it. But it's kind of off to the side, nobody knows it's there. Even the name, Riverland Woods Park, doesn't really say where it is. There's a Riverland Woods HOA, it's up the road. So people, it's not even near the neighborhood. It's right there, it's recent. Okay, so you look at the next page here, it shows a little sketch of what we have been looking at. And this is a little sketch. It would show a little building. We kicked around the idea of maybe a 2,000 square foot building, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. We have to push and pull based on what the funding is available. It would have a meeting room, a warming kitchen, an outdoor meeting area. We do waterway cleanups. We have a lot of these things that were part of the river, and a lot of our activities are actually outdoors. We need an area to store the equipment, to bring out the tents, do a lot of things. And also we can facilitate a lot of refreshments. So it's great activities for us to clean up the river. But we don't have any place that's ground, it's made. Also, both the Lauderdale Isles Waterway Management District and Lauderdale Isles Civic Association, both share storage space. We have to pay out of all of our dues to continually to keep where our items, bring things out to host these events, paying money for storage. So we have a little storage in there, and outdoor meetings, I think I mentioned that. And some of the programs would be obviously the association meetings, the waterway management meetings, waterway cleanup, community event space. This is where we used to do our votings. A lot of places where we come together and talk about issues. And that's our community meeting space. And also voting education, like start running class, or student do classes and things like that. We're also looking to minimize the parking. That's something we can take part in. And I think we showed this in the picture here. Our model would be the park streets. That's what we're looking to do. Kind of the same size, shape, how it functions, how it operates, working in conjunction with Parks and Recs. It's a little bit too small to really program big, but it would be their facility. We will program it, work together with them. And that would be the model for us to do that. I throw on the last page here, and you can see that we have these activities with a lot of people that are learning about waterway, they're learning about cleanup of it, what goes in there, what can happen in there, voting safety. So there's a lot that we really do, but we don't have any place to participate in. So we're here tonight to two things. One is for you folks to agree to convert the land acquisition money. It was earmarked for purchasing of the yacht towards the project community center. Along with that, we've talked to our district commissioner, as well as we did present in front of the commission conference. It was a 2 weeks ago. And we did go through this, we did a little PowerPoint to them, and we made sure that they're all on board to use the remaining funds for land acquisition for District 4, our commissioner, towards that project. So that's the one item, is to consolidate those funds, use it as a project for a lot of else to use. And then number two, we're asking Parks and Recs to change the name of the Riverland Woods to Lauderdale Isles Land. And that would be consistent with the Parks and Recs and the Marine Department's listing of the other boat ramps. They're all called landings, and it really identifies where it is and what it is. So the landing, it's Lauderdale Isles, so you know two things, where it is and what it is. So we've met with the city commission, we've asked those questions. There was consensus for us to come to you folks and get your consensus, go back to them to confirm it, and then we'd start to move on that. That, are there any questions you guys have? Or
what is the amount of the land acquisition in District 4?
So, each commissioner has, when the bond was originated, each commissioner had about $7.5 million.
Yeah, right.
Commissioner Sturman in District 4 has about 2.3 million, 2.3 million left.
Okay.
And that would, the ask is that fund will be used for this project.
And how much
The
are we
whole
talking about?
2.3
Two
million?
point three?
Yes,
Yes, so there's 1.5, and then he had a portion of it was remaining. Put those two together, and on this page right here, it's 2.3 million. So that's what we would use to bid the project.
and also too, I think, Mr. President touched on it too, there's also the extension of the boat ramp to make it so that there could be two.
No, but the boat ramp extension, we haven't brought this up here. That right there is gonna be a separate issue.
Okay.
And we're gonna ask that for grant funding.
Okay, grants. Okay, so it's, okay.
And considering that we haven't been able to find any properties that we can actually buy because of the value of real estate that we've tried in District 4, I think this is a good option. Take that money and use it towards something constructive to satisfy these homeowners. I'm familiar with a lot of the Lyle's Yacht Club, familiar with Riverland Woods. And, and he's right, that playground rarely gets used. It's mostly across the street at the Elizabeth Hayes Park, which is well used by people in the community. And I think this is a good project. And, I live in the area, not Lauderdale, Ohio, but further east down by Riverland Preserve. And it would be, it's sad that they couldn't work a deal. I mean, I know Sorensen tried and we've all tried to make a deal with the guy before he sold it to the new owner. But this is the next best thing in my belief is that
City-owned property.
city-owned property, we reallocate the money since we can't buy anything in that area because of the value of real estate. And we recently purchased things in District 4, Waverly, and the landings over there by Riverside. So I think this money would be well spent to enhance that park for Lauderdale Isle Civic Association.
So does this, then District 4 has no more money for parks,
For land acquisition.
For acquisition.
just the acquisition of land?
Right.
So everything else, so for clarity, there isn't anything that is being taken from the allocations of funding for bond projects in District 4, 3, 2, or 1. This is simply just taking the remaining money in District 4's budget to allocate towards this.
For the land acquisition only.
Okay.
Since we can't buy anything,
Is separate from what.
I'm curious as to how much the guy bought the land for.
Joint use
I'm
property.
sorry?
I'm curious as to how much the guy bought the land for.
Right, okay.
Keep one at a time, please.
Mary?
So the chair was speaking, did you hear?
I didn't catch what he said.
No, I had asked the question. I just wanted to clarify to make sure that the land acquisition funding that's remaining was separate from what, back when Commissioner Sorensen was commissioner and designated a lot of that joint, land acquisition funding for the joint use parks. And it was confirmed that that was separate. This is the remaining balance.
Who set the price of 2.362 million?
So that's the actual total allocation in the land acquisition.
Oh, in the land, okay. How much is this piece of,
We're estimating it to be about that much. The building is what, 2,000?
Yeah, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're going to work within the budget. We'll try and squeeze it in, whatever the size is, whatever it takes. It's the money we have, we can work with it, work with the architect and see if we can do it fit within. So that's a budgetary number. We actually met with the ACOM, who's your consultant for Parks and Rec. And we did a little bit of a feasibility checklist. I mean, I've been building things out west. And we looked at square foot costs, approximate sizes, to make sure that before I came to you folks, it was feasible. And ACOM did rule that it was feasible, that it didn't seem to fit in there. Some little hurdles, we have to get a little sanitary line out to the street, but for all practical purposes, it was a feasible project. Put out here, sorry.
Yeah, so can you just clarify, so you're gonna replace a playground for basically just a community center? And how many people approximately how many people use like the playground versus, I mean, like, I'm looking at a warming kitchen, I don't know how many people would actually.
We have to work through that with the consultants because we're gonna look at how many people come to the meeting, how many people are using there. There's all kinds of, codes that require so many parking spaces for people in there, so many exits. So we're gonna look at how many percentage of people will be there with, typically have meetings, 40, 50, 60 people. So we'll have to design for not the peaks, but what the average is, and also our meetings, outdoors as well. So we have a lot of outdoor activities. We can design it to have. The original question of that playground, how many kids use the playground? I would say the playground gets used, I would say minimal. And the only time really it gets used is when some child is getting off the boat, the parent is messing around with their boat, trying to fix it, and they're over there hanging out. But other than that, they're all across the street. That's the part, that's the premier part. The Parks and Recs spent a lot of money on shade structures. They've upgraded the playground. There's picnic tables, there's gazebos.
It's got soft landing stuff underneath it. It's got all.
That's where the kids are. This really should be taken down. We've left it up just to kind of keep it going.
Isn't it, Carl, isn't it at end of life also?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so the playground equipment would need to be replaced.
So it has a 10-year lifespan and it's capacity.
Yeah.
And I live in that neighborhood, it's hidden. So if you don't have a boat, you wouldn't know that it's there.
Right.
If you didn't grow up and know that there was a yacht club there, you wouldn't know. So the other park that they're talking about where the kids play, that's on Woodland. So it's in physical sight and
Right.
people know that it's there. That one, it's so tucked away.
And we don't want little kids there. We want them to go across the road.
Plus you got water and all that stuff down there. You really, it's not the best place to have a children's park,
I don't think it is.
in my mind, just because of the.
That was, I was gonna ask, was there another park close?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
right.
Within
That's
within 100 feet,
Okay, so that's great. And
maybe
then
200 feet.
The name changes, the community agreed upon changing the name, what's the purpose of me changing the name?
The name changed. Originally, it's Riverland Woods Park. When you think about park, there should be a lot of amenities. The playground should be nice. And also the name should kind of tell you where it is, or there's some kind of rhyme or reason. So we're gonna change it to Lauderdale Isles Landing. So when you go to the city's website, Kate, where can I go to a boat launch? Cox Landing, Lauderdale Isles Landing. You know what I mean? It's the location and what's
And
there.
what's there. Okay.
It's-
All right.
Since it's adjacent to Lauderdale Isles, it makes.
Yes, location as well as. the-
Oh, I am.
So I have a couple additional questions tied to the cost. So we're trying to work well within the 2.3 million, thank you, and scale down as needed. But with rising construction costs, what is the limit? Like,
That's the limit. That's. the
okay,
limit.
I mean, what's the minimum? Like, can you build for 1.2? Like, what happens? Oh, and the secondary question to that is what happens if, for whatever reason, you guys can't build it? Does the money get reallocated back to District 4 budget?
So I'll answer your first one. So let's say if the project comes in under 2.3,
Mhm.
then district commissioner gets to whatever that remaining back into the acquisition budget.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a fair question, certainly, we're gonna try and.
So if it doesn't get built at all, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
the money goes back. Okay, thank you.
But as Mr. Prisley mentioned, so AECom, whom is our program manager, during our discussion, it's a pretty good thought that we'll be able to build the building for about 2 million.
Mhm.
So we feel pretty confident that can.
Okay.
I'm all for it. I'm all for the name change as well.
So I see that you have the president of the Civic Association here, which I'm, so I.
He's a vice
Earl's
president.
That's right, you're the
That's
president. Okay, oh, sorry. Oh,
He's the chairman of the Waterway Management District, Water Miles Waterway Management,
okay.
the treasurer.
So I just, because civic associations are a little dear to my heart, for reasons unsaid right now, I just want to make sure, obviously yours must be, if you're standing here saying this, I mean, all these houses that are against the park, I assume they know that you're talking about this.
We have held general meetings, two MC board meetings, we have board meetings. But this is it's a concept law. Once AECom is on board, there's a public process that we're gonna go through.
Okay.
We have to go to open house,
Okay.
get public input, because, it's not for Grizzlies, it's gonna be what people want to use, so they're gonna have input. And they're gonna have a say on what's going in their backyard. There is a wall there, And I'm sure residents of there can give us their concerns, maybe we do some landscaping there, operating, whatever it is, so.
Yeah, because they're looking at one thing now and you build a structure, then they're looking at something else.
Yes, it has to go through the permitting process.
And it's also up against some commercial property also.
And is there any like pushback from any of the other civic associations in District 4? Obviously, you're in District 4, but
Right.
who else in here is from District 4?
They probably don't know. I mean, that's probably not been brought to other
Okay.
districts and,
Well,
you
now
know.
you know.
Yeah.
It's been brought to the city commission in a conference.
Well, that's
All
true.
Commissioners.
Yeah.
On TV and we've gone through that. District commissioner is, well, we heard that and.
I mean, I saw it on the, I think I was at the meeting, but I don't think I realized it was here. I thought it was in a different place because of the name. So I think the name change is a great idea.
Yeah, Lauderdale Isles, sometimes people think
Yeah.
it's further east.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, so I've been to your neighborhood at meetings, so where I met with about the air, yeah, so you don't have that building anymore. You had the building, now it's gone.
Well, we always rented it. It was never ours.
Right.
We always had to rent it from a private entity.
Right.
Anytime we had a meeting, anytime we have to negotiate.
Okay.
Rents, it was hard. And then the stars lined up, it was for sale. And cash was king, and cash won over off of the air contingencies.
And how many, what's the size of your neighborhood?
750, right?
There's like 700 homes. 501.
And also too, just so everyone is aware, we did publicly notice that this meeting was taking place with the auspices of changing the park name. Those notices went out on the 11th
So is that
of January.
everybody that lives 300 feet or everybody that lives in that
In the park,
district? in that-
so
in
it's
that park?
part of the guidelines to renaming the park, we have to post
Or the yellow.
that notification in the park. We typically do 7 days, but I wanted to do it a little earlier just because I know it's a new concept. So it was posted and they're still up now, and they were done on the 11th of January.
The yellow signs.
I have one more question. Go ahead, Charlie.
No, go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you for presenting this plan. It's very easy to follow and clear. I'm a little more familiar with the area. Just to clarify, this would be a building that we could rent out as residents. Right? Would it be considered like when you mentioned Fort Park? I love your space and what they did. So would this be open to?
Yeah, so Hort Park
Parks
itself
and
is,
Rec.
you can rent out to for
Right.
birthday parties or
Mhm.
meetings.
Weddings,
that nature.
whatever.
This will be under the same.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think, but we'll be cognizant of the neighbors in the back. It's gonna have to be a deal that we work out. If there's no noise, they hear nothing outside. But that's certainly it's city of Fort Lauderdale building, or connection rights owner, we're gonna help program it with them and we'll.
I make a motion
I
that we,
second.
that we reallocate the money from the purchase of property to.
It's converting, it's not land acquisition to the project, maybe we're supporting the project, is that kind of?
Just
Yeah,
convert
you
money.
all are
Convert money.
recommending converting the remaining balance to District 4 land acquisition fund to support this project.
The amount.
Exactly that.
2.3, it's amount
It's about 2.3,
362, comma, 500.
$1 million. And
Do we do a
Changing-
second motion for the renaming?
Yes.
Because those-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move that we.
Well, no, right, there's a motion on the floor,
Okay.
it was seconded, I mean, you're the maker of the motion, you seconded,
I seconded.
did you get that?
I didn't quite get the motion.
Okay, can you repeat the motion, sir? What's your motion?
Help
that's
him.
my motion, but the wording, I want to make sure.
We allocate money converting, I didn't get it.
Okay, no problem, just clarify.
Make a motion to reallocate the land acquisition money of 2.362500
00.
to
From District 4.
from District 4 to the project of the community center for the Lauderdale Isles Civic Improvement Association,
I think just change it to a.
Community Center
The community center,
As amended. Mhm.
to the project of the community center
at Lauderdale Isles.
at
But
Is
it's
it
not
not-
2637.
Or four Lauderdale Isles.
Or, wait, Carl, should it say, should it, because we haven't changed the name or we haven't made a motion to say Lauderdale Isles.
Right, that
so
was
it's
gonna be
No,
my
it's-
comment.
Riverland Woods Park.
Right.
That's what it should
Okay.
say.
So
Okay.
because that's gonna be a separate motion.
Correct.
Thank you for catching that. That's gonna be a separate motion. She's correct. So are you accepting the friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay, so as amended, did you get the amendment? Okay.
Reallocate
Sorry.
land acquisition money of 2.3 million
600.
62500 from District 4 to the project of the community center.
No, the amount is wrong.
Just District 4 acquisition fund.
We have reallocate land acquisition money.
Or funds, probably.
Funds.
Funds of 2.362500.
All the commissioners on board for that?
From District 4
What we came to, we got a consensus.
To the project of the community center.
Center,
I have the community center Fort Lauderdale.
for the construction of the community center located at
Woods.
Riverland Woods.
Riverland Woods, yeah, not the other guys.
Located at Riverland
Woods Park.
Construction of community.
Are you still willing to second
That
that?
was
Yeah, I
the
do.
motion.
And
That right amount? Yeah.
Right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any
I
discussion?
don't know if I have it.
Any additional discussion?
She's still working it. She's still. Got it?
So would this community center be open to other neighborhoods or other,
This is a city facility, I'm saying it's not our facility. It's-
so it'd be a city park?
It's the model.
Okay.
Driver, Parks and Recs manages it, we help program it.
All right. Do we want to read that back or?
Reallocate land acquisition money funds of 2,362,500 from District 4 to the project of the construction of community center located at Riverland Woods Park.
Yeah. We've had a request to have a roll call.
yes,
Vote.
Absolutely. We second.
yes,
We
it
have a
was
second.
seconded.
Vice Chair.
I just want to.
Roll call, please.
Have they given up on looking for more land?
No,
They're still always.
yes, matter of
looking.
fact, next meeting, you'll probably have another parcel of land that'll come for you. I know it's not, I don't think it's.
Want a roll call?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Lykoff,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenbaum,
Yes.
Ms. Pelican,
Yes.
Ms. Moore, Ms. Tarco,
Here.
Mr. Eckstein.
Yes, which ones?
I put, does everybody say yes?
We doing
Did you
roll
want-
call?
yeah.
Are we- or-
We're doing roll call voting or on the.
Oh, there's a
Reallocate
voting.
Yeah, you're
land,
in.
yes.
Oh,
We're
voting,
on that,
okay.
on the
so it's
motion,
roll call, okay,
on the motion.
okay.
I guess, yeah. No, no, it's fine.
Ms. Oglesby,
Yes, in favor.
Ms. Coetzee,
Yes.
Ms. McGill,
Yes.
and Chair Gunter.
Have no objection.
Motion
I don't got a
passes.
yes.
Yes.
That's a similar yes to. Sorry.
Motion
And I'm
passes.
going to move to change the name of Riverland Woods
Park.
to Lauderdale Isles Landing.
I second that.
You guys are team.
Roll today. A motion, a second. on the
Okay, so
floor. Any
change
discussion?
the name of Riverland Isles Park to.
No, Riverland Woods Park.
That's the current
That's it,
name.
yeah.
The current name of Riverland Woods Park to
Lauderdale Isles.
landings.
Yeah, if they make it a boom boat launch, doesn't need to be landings.
Well, we say landings.
Come back.
I need a second.
Charlie Lykoff.
On a roll call?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Wait, we need discussion.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
No.
They said if they
There's
make a
not much to
boat launch,
discuss.
they gotta add this at some
No.
point, but it's fine.
Well, didn't we say Lauderdale Isles Landings?
I said
No,
landing.
landing.
I think it's just,
I said landing.
Oh,
is it landing? I think it's like Cox Landing.
Yeah.
It's landing without an S.
All right, no S. Right, no S. Take the S out. I did.
Even if they make it bigger, I don't think you gotta
You can struggle.
realize it.
So we'll have a roll call.
Roll
Yes.
call.
Mr. Lykoff,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenbaum,
Yes.
Ms. Peliquin.
Yes.
Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Ms. Tarko.
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein.
Yes.
Ms. Oglesby.
Yes.
Ms. Coatsy.
Yes.
Ms. McGill.
Yes.
And Chair Gunter.
Yes.
We have a motion passed.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate your time.
Ryan. is the one.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
I have time. Let's leave it in the morning, so that there.
Still have another rule.
Yes. So,
Put some money on Carter Park.
all right, so, as you all know, we have had some concerns with homeless erecting tents or sleeping in parks.
Where are we on?
Number 2.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we're just now.
Oh,
Or two, 1.2.
And so what I would like to bring forth to the board is to amend our park rules as now that says 4.9 in our park rules to add, no person shall erect any structure or accessory structure of any type on any park facility or city beach except pursuant to a city issued permit or written approval of the city commission.
I agree.
What is that
you read that on
pertaining to?
1.2?
No, it's
4.9.
4.9.
4.9 on the,
About on the beach, that's, people, I mean, people put up those, yeah, the tents. Umbrellas don't count, but I mean,
Yeah.
there's other things that, you know,
But shade tents.
yeah, shade tents.
The, we call them turtles, that's from our vendor, and those are.
no.
No, we're talking about like regular beach goers, so we have tents that we put
Yeah,
up.
that's okay. This is
Okay.
dealing with individuals from 9 PM until
Oh,
6 PM,
6
or
a.m.
anytime during the day, really. You can't put up like a tent that you plan on sleeping in, like a shelter of some kind. That's what this is speaking to.
okay.
Does the time need to be added in there, Carl? Because I don't see that.
No, because at any time, we wouldn't want an individual to come and set up like their own little house, if you will.
Right.
You know, regardless of if it's during park hours.
Okay. It's a good idea.
and this includes the beach.
Yes, it does.
Yes, good. Okay, I vote yes.
Well, we have to have a motion.
Sorry.
Sorry.
You don't say much, that thing I moved to, and then
So we have a motion on the floor.
All right.
Oh, yeah. so-
And.
Can I just repeat this?
Okay, what?
You can say, yeah, you can say I
Yeah.
move to.
Can I
You
make-
could just say,
can I
adopt
ma-
the language as proposed by Carl. You don't
Can
have to read the
I
whole
make
thing.
a motion to,
Approve the language.
that, to approve the language that you have just written here in the 4.9, no person shall erect any structure or accessory structure of any type on any park facility or city beach except pursuant to a city issued permit or written approval from the city commission.
I'm gonna need to get it.
Yeah, it's here.
Yes.
And that's exactly right.
Yes.
They mean is,
I second.
We have a second, any discussion? I guess we do, is it a roll call vote or is this a? all in
I don't
favor?
need a roll call vote. You can have one if
So
you.
let's just do all in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard, motion carries. I still wanted to also have a quick discussion on Article 1.2. The second to last sentence there where it says limited to certain users at any time. I have concerns with the word users. The city attorney present, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would rather have it say certain uses than users. Because my concern is users have civil rights and users do not. And at any point, we could be potentially sued by pushing back against users
Yeah.
versus uses.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm still reading. Which line?
1.2,
I
Second
know
last
1.2.
line.
the last sentence.
Usage.
Okay.
Usage. You're saying usage, Chair?
You
I'm
said
certain to
yes.
use,
Okay.
that you says USES instead of users.
Okay,
And my concern is.
I understand.
yes.
I don't have.
That's my only
I don't
concern.
have any
And the only reason I saw it was originally it's part 1.2 and I'm like that as I was reading it, I thought, oh.
Mhm.
But do we also need to vote on
No,
that
that's not my
1.2
copy.
where it
That's my
had the
copy.
area authorized
You
by
can,
the
you
city?
can
Well,
keep it, go ahead.
I think Carl provided you the last revised
Thank you, yeah.
set of rules. So
Okay,
you can see what the rules have been changed to. So
okay,
what you see as underlined is existing language.
Gotcha.
The only thing that's Carl is proposing is 4.9. Everything else, that was from, he just used the draft from the last one we presented to you.
well, could I make a move, well, I'm only allowed to make a motion to the chair.
You can pass the gavel. So technically,
I don't even have my vice chair here.
There.
well, you can.
Oh, hold on.
Technically.
Yeah. I would like to make.
It's the process.
Shouldn't give me this.
Change the
Okay, I mean,
word
I
at
mentioned that.
1.2 from users to uses. That's, I'm a little concerned
I
with
think
that.
it is.
All those in favor?
Okay, so.
Any discussion?
All those in, oh,
Any-
any discussion on the motion on the floor?
I need the motion repeated again, please.
I'm sorry. In Article 1.2,
Forgot I had to do that.
the last
Give me this
sentence. It says, I don't want to.
Change uses to use.
To uses. Limited to
We'll
certain uses.
provide you
at any
we'll
time.
provide you the specific language.
I just want it for the minutes. And I know you will.
No,
Yeah.
no discussion.
I mean.
All right, is there any discussion on that?
No,
Literally eliminating the R.
Right.
So, all right, I think.
all in favor?
Or is it
Am I allowed to
usage?
put that?
You're, oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay, I thought
Any
I should-
discussion, no, then you.
No discussion?
Oh,
Yes?
So is it usage, US?
No.
No, uses.
Okay.
Uses.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Whatever, okay.
It's
Is that it?
Can, do you want clarification?
It's
You're the chair.
uses,
Can you spell it?
USES. Sorry.
US, ES,
Mhm.
yeah.
Instead of users with a R, it's uses.
Okay, All
Any
right.
further questions or objections?
any more?
No?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes.
Seconded it, I'm sorry. The chair made the motion.
Rachel.
Oh, you made the motion.
No, the
No.
chair made
The chair made the motion.
The chair.
Caleb,
The chair, not the chair.
It's all one
I mean,
piece.
it's not the chair.
indicate that the chair passed the gavel
did.
to.
Okay,
Right.
so
Right. Mr. Gunter made.
I actually never seen that before.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, I
I got it.
Mr. Gunther made it.
Okay. That's why I was like, no.
Did we have a second?
It was,
Yes.
I had your second.
Michelle.
Good.
Oh.
So now we'll move to item 3.
So,
Yeah.
in regards to item number 3, this was a companion item that we took on with, Riverland Woods Park, at a commission meeting, a conference commission meeting where, so Carter Park is one of our signature projects to provide a signature park. And in discussions with Vice Mayor, and also what we brought before commission at conference was the ability to use her land acquisition fund, which I believe is 7.3 million, to assist with bridging that funding gap towards the project. And so, with the use of that $7 million, and I'm gonna break this down so you understand. So originally, Carter Park was allocated 13.6 million. And then we received $118,000 through a cultural arts grant that we'll utilize towards it. And then the idea is that we'll use $2 million in park impact fees. And then the ask today is to use the remaining balance or her total balance of 7.2 million, 7.3 million in her land acquisition fund to bridge us closer to what is needed for the project. The total cost of the project, if we funded everything, is 33 million.
God, what are they
And-
doing? Sorry.
And that is due to the fact of cost escalations with construction. And so the building itself is about 48,000 square feet. And if all of this kind of goes in, we're still looking at a shortfall of about $9 to $10 million. And so we're looking at creative ways to identify more funding. But this is just one of them to bring us closer.
Are they building like a whole
Okay.
community center there? What,
You're knocking
what
down a
is
building?
it?
I'm looking at it right here.
Yeah, so Carter Park, the plan of Carter Park is right now we have about 6 buildings there. And the idea is to consolidate those buildings into 3, which would be one huge community center, which is 48,000 square feet building I was referring to. And there will be the Orange Bowl and then the pool, or the community pool there. Those would be the totality of the buildings at Carter Park, as opposed to the other 5 buildings that I just mentioned.
Do you know when the buildings were built?
I don't, not off the top of my head.
We use
But they're-
that park
they're-
during,
they're-
no, they're at their end. I was just curious
Yeah.
because we used that park for summer, for 2 summers. My daughter went there. She also went to other city parks, but they were beyond life and
Yeah.
AC wasn't always working.
Because that's the purpose, right? To tear down these buildings and
Yes,
to
ma'am.
rebuild, right?
Yeah.
So can we go back? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Can we go back to your, what was your total? So your deficit was $9 to $10 million that you still need to fund this project?
Correct. Right. If you all are recommending the use of that acquisition, will still be about $10 million.
And where will you get that from?
So we're looking at grants. There's also opportunities to see if there's any funding that we can find, whether it's the CRA, which I think that pot of money is not existent, but we'll look at other avenues to try to find some more funding to bridge the gap.
I guess 48,000 square feet sounds big. Is that like a gymnasium
Yes.
size?
So think of sort of like a YMCA, if you would, where it has like a huge building.
Like,
And
yeah,
then you have your basketball courts, you have meeting spaces, you've got the boxing gymnasium that we have at Carter now. And so we have the annex and you're in the social gathering room. And so it basically just consolidates everything into one. That's kind of like
So it's
bringing it
like-
up to times.
like the gym at the Y is
Correct.
big. Okay, I
I
just,
guess I was gonna say, why we just gonna say it, just basically enhancing what we have, something almost like the Y
Correct.
in a more up-to-date.
Correct.
Up-to-date.
And-
Trying to remember how
and the
much
challenge
that
though
building
that
cost.
we've dealt with is, so also so that you all are aware, so the challenge with this project deals on a couple of things. One is, I already mentioned that the cost escalations, and when we kind of looked at this, we were sticker shocked ourselves. And so if we didn't fund this, we would have to scale the project down in half. And even at half, we still would have to have add-ons for the project, meaning that we would only fund certain portions of it if there was funding available, which, if we're being honest, is probably not going to happen. And so this being a signature park, one of the 4 signature parks in the city, Vice Mayor was very adamant that she wants it to remain a signature park. And so we wanted to keep it at the square footage that was there, at least get it close to it.
I
moved-
swam there for about 4 years. And that park is used. People use that park all over the place. So, I mean, and the buildings are sad. I mean, they're just old, so.
Okay, your motion?
Yes. The only thing that I will say is that it seems to be cost escalations keep on going up and up, and we have all these other projects, and my concern is that we're gonna run out of money if we're already, like, for each one. like we're getting further down into the holes. And I don't really know a solution necessarily, but it just seems like maybe we should think maybe like the grandiose plans, or like something has to give a.
Yes, to kind of give you some relief, the request isn't to use any allocated funding from the bond project itself. So that's why we're kind of looking at creative ways to bring outside funding towards it. So whether it's land acquisition funding, park impact fees, grants, those things to kind of leverage funding so that we can afford it, as opposed to coming back to you with a request to basically take money from something that's already been allocated.
Right, but I just feel like, you keep on robbing Paul to Peter, a little bit, not on this project, but it just seems like then it's gonna be what next,
Carter Park is very deserving, and this is
Yes.
very similar to what we just voted on. It's a land acquisition fund
Yeah.
that we are. Approving the use of that legal building.
In that district for purchase,
No,
since the bond money was made available.
Right.
That balance wouldn't be $7.3 million.
right.
I think we bought something over there by
A little thing.
some little park.
Yeah, the annexation of Little Lincoln.
Yeah.
we
Right.
used some,
Little Lincoln, and there was another parcel, maybe over by Merrill's Park or something like that, on 31st Avenue. I don't know if that was District 1 or not. So just-
Yeah, so it was very minimal.
Right.
It was because, like I said, in District 4 or District 3's land acquisition, she's got 7.3.
She had,
So
she had
that's only 200,000
200,000.
that was
Right.
allocated to purchase
So-
that.
Yeah. I must say it was small.
Question is, are there any other park, does that area have any park deserts that have any desperate need for that acquisition funding that now we're all sitting gonna be?
So
But
not
sure.
to my knowledge, I did receive a note today to inquire about a parcel in the area, but that's pretty much it. There's not a lot of land.
What parcel was that, Paul?
I'd have to look at it here.
Just to center this park is on Sunrise Boulevard, just east of 95.
Yeah.
It is prime
Sunrise-
space for
Sunrise, 15th
football players and Orange Bowl.
It's also,
whatever,
it's
whatever they
also
do.
one of the entrances into Fort Lauderdale, so we
Yeah.
need to make it
So
look good.
that address that I just got today was Northwest 4th Street and 7th Ave.
4th Street and 7th Ave? Oh,
That's the only
that's,
parcel of property that I've
That's just down the street.
spoken to about.
yeah. Oh, okay.
So I,
You would think with some of the construction going on there along 7th Avenue, Sistrunk or 6th Street, that some of those builders, developers should be, park impact fees should be on their dime to purchase
Yep,
something.
that's the 2.1 million in park impact fees that we're looking to utilize for this.
Right.
So we're getting closer, but we're
Right,
still.
but to consider for the parcel that you've been made aware of, that's adjacent, pretty close to that apartment building going up in the corner of
Mhm.
6th and 7th, I think it is.
Yeah, Northwest 4th and 7th.
Down the road.
Right.
Does Carter Park not have a gym right now?
It does,
it's aged.
But it's old.
yes.
So,
So
yeah.
what about, so. I don't know, this whole city, like every time something gets 50 years old, let's just knock it down, build something else. Isn't it much more cost effective to just kind of gut it and redo it and
So,
what?
yeah, so if speaking to like our like program management, because you kind of do like a design build, which kind of gives it a little, makes it a little bit more cost effective.
And this built 50 years ago, now we have more sustainable things that we're doing, LED, there's like more improvements that can be made in technology that we didn't have 50 years ago.
And also to keep in mind that, this allocation of the original 13 or some million was for this purpose, to knock those buildings down, build one large building and provide a larger space, more parking, more access for the community.
Are they planning on replacing Orange Field there too? Is there gonna be?
That likely won't be a part of.
Orange Bowl team?
Additional benefit, this is also where they hold the like music fest, right? Carter Park.
Carter Park Jam.
Jam,
It is.
yeah.
Not only that, we host regional tournaments there, track meets, many special events.
Right.
It's
So I
busy.
move- Okay, so I move to allocate the land acquisition fund of $7.3 million from District 3 for the building of what signature, tell me, like signature.
What's the name of the project?
Carter Park
Right here.
signature
Park for
project.
the Carter Park signature project.
I tangerine 1 second.
Any discussions? None heard. Do we need to make a roll or just all roll call, right?
The roll
Yes,
call.
Yeah.
Park bond, so I need roll call, please.
Rosenbaum, it's Rosenbaum.
She left.
Oh, she left?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ms. Pellepin,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Tarko, Mr. Eckstein.
Yes.
Ms. Oglesby.
Yes.
Ms. Coatsy,
Yes.
Ms. McGill,
Yes.
and Chair Gunter.
Yes.
Passes. Carries.
New business. Who asked for new business on the agenda?
Okay, he's back here. He's right here.
He's sitting and I was like, oh.
He's back here, yeah, yeah.
In the business, I'm sick.
Oh.
Here. Go ahead.
No, I have a question. So there was a beach soccer event this past weekend. And it required that they took down all the courts except for one for the volleyball courts. The soccer setup was nowhere near the volleyball courts. They could have left up at least 4 or 5 courts of all the courts that were taken down.
The volleyball.
Yeah. And so this 1 week of good weather, we had no volleyball courts, and then now they're back up, but now it's like howling winds every day and stuff. So I don't, what decides that? Why they get taken down, or could we put something that if an event isn't directly affecting that they maybe can leave the courts?
So many feet. They call it so many feet.
Yeah, if it's so many feet from the courts, why are they being taken down?
So no, that's a good question. And I'll need to do some research to identify kind of the reason why that was done. And if not, we can make adjustments, especially when we're the administrators that give access to beach area there to do that. So I'll look into that.
And it was also suggested that, so when something happens on the beach and they have to take down the courts, so it's being left up to the people that are doing the event to contact the guy that takes the courts down and puts them up. And why isn't the city, that maybe it'd be more efficient if the city like CC'd him whenever a permit was issued that was gonna affect the courts, so he has a heads up and knows that something's coming.
Got it.
And that might make it more efficient as to when they take it down and put it back up and all that.
Okay.
I have something. But he's already.
Yep.
The vice mayor at that mural unveiling at Mills Pond asked me about, the land that's on 9th Avenue and Chateau Park. It's in Lauderdale Manors.
Okay.
And she goes, I want to do something there, or she, indicated that, and I go, well, what? And she goes, I don't know, it's just that land is just sitting there, so I think something should be done. And, so I actually know a couple of people that live like in that neighborhood right around it. I go, what do you guys think? And they go, we don't want anything done. Like, okay, so I don't know what that's all about, but I thought I would say something that the vice mayor asked me about it.
Is that where the old firehouse was? The fire
I think
station was?
so, yeah.
Yeah, I brought that up before, a while back, and they don't want nothing there.
The community does?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that,
Remember I asked, I put that on the floor, that parcel, I brought that up, that parcel there, and that community do not want anything there, but we can revisit it.
I'm just saying,
Minds
since the
are gonna
vice
change.
mayor asked me about it, I
Yeah.
thought I should bring it up.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, just FYI, we don't have any money to.
One more real quick thing. Whenever you wanted to rent the War Memorial Auditorium, you went through the city.
Yes,
Now, am I correct in that that is now run by the Panthers?
yes, ma'am.
The old PPP stuff, right?
Yeah, so it's not, the city has no control over who uses that.
We are the owners of the property, but they run,
It's under a lease.
yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood that, because I thought we could use it for something and,
Yes,
I
so
never got my email back.
Melissa of the Panthers will be reaching out to kind of coordinate that.
I did talk to her. They were helpful. I just wanted to make sure I had that straight in my head. Oh, we don't really have charge of that building anymore.
Nope.
That's all I got.
All right, so I did want, if you all noticed, I didn't include a department update because I know we had a pretty full agenda, so I'll be brief, but I do want to make you all aware of several things that we have coming down in February. As you know, February is Black History Month, and we have several events coming up. February 3rd is Remembering Our Roots from 3 to 5 at Riverland Park. February 4th is Jazz Brunch, which is the first Sunday of every month. February 17th is Kijiji Moja from 2 to 4 at Lincoln Park. The 24th of February, we have the Sistrunk Parade and Festival. I encourage everybody to come out for that. That's a very well attended event as well. February 7th, as you know, a couple years ago, we restarted our noon tours. And so February 7th through March 27th, from 12 to 1:30 at Stranahan Park, we'll have noon tours. And last but not least, I wanted to advise you all that DC Alexander is about 60% complete. If Florida Power and Lighting provides their commitments on time, that project should be done by the summer. So let's keep our fingers crossed on that. And but that project's moving along pretty quickly. So
I see it every day. Right now, it looks like a bunker, but it'd be nice when it's painted.
One other thing I think is coming up is that event at the city parking garage on February 15th.
yes, neighborhood support night.
Yes.
Yes,
You haven't been to that before. It's a lot of,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Lot of
I'll
fun.
be there. I'll be there.
It's still gonna be at City Hall, where is? it's
Yes,
gonna
In
be
the
City Hall.
garage, in the garage.
City Hall
In
parking
the
garage.
garage.
So the
Yep.
parking garage is okay?
Yeah.
There's lots of giveaways,
Now
lots of
about it.
different vendors. lots of-
It's safe,
That's a good event.
Provided we don't get a grave flood.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
It only happens once every 100 years.
So I had to put that disclaimer in there, because you asked me if it's safe.
February 15th, right, Charlie?
February 15th.
Yes, right there for Valentine's.
5:30 to 8, if I remember
Yeah, I
correctly.
think you're right.
Yeah, it's always.
Oh, and they give away trees. So first come, first come, first
Yeah,
serve.
well, Billy's a chalk piece.
So, anyway,
Any other new business before I move to my final agenda item?
No.
That said, I move to adjourn.
Yeah.
there we go.
And I.